This is the OMFL.
You can't touch this.
And you're in the mix with Kinda Real Name. Here's another OMFL production.
Good morning and welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show for the OMFL. I am your host, Nate, the commissioner and founder of the OMFL and the Grown Folks online community, and we appreciate you being with us. And let me quickly bring in my host, a guy that's been stuck with me now for a couple days as we've been doing some Madden 20 streams and just having some fun with it. Mr. Manic, are you awake this morning? We stayed up super late last night.
I'm awake, but I got the Madden 20 hangover right now, so.
I'm getting way too old this morning. We were both commentating on how the big 4-0 will hit us both this year, and man, it hurts to even kind of say that, but I'm way too old to be staying up till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning and then getting back up at 8. I don't mind staying up. I can handle that. It's the getting back up early this morning. And speaking of getting up early, we've got a special guest here that I'm super excited about, a guy that you have heard on our shows before, a guy that has been nothing but very kind to us since meeting him in the Madden community. Let's bring in the one and the only Mr. Xpert. Mr. Xpert, how you doing this morning, bud?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Man, blessed to be here again with the OMFL crew. I always love it when you reach out to me and say, "Hey, man, I need you on the spot for me."
Well, we are always super appreciative that you are able to be here. We are big supporters of the content that you put out, and you're a monster out there, man. You're putting out content left and right. Yeah, and I'm excited to kind of hear your thoughts today and kind of hear what you've got going. We've got Experts Twitter up there. Make sure whatever you do, stop right now. Go on to Twitter and give Xpert a follow, and we'll let him pitch all of his other things because he is putting out content like a crazy man. But let's talk about it, man. Madden 20 is here. The beta released on Friday afternoon. I think some people got to play late Thursday night into the Friday morning. I didn't. It didn't let me, but I did get to play yesterday. But you got to go over to EA Play and get to meet a whole ton of people. You need to go check out his videos on YouTube. You need to go support them. He'll drop some knowledge on you. But just tell us about how was the experience at EA Play and what was the game like?
Yeah, so the guys in the Dynasty, we make it a yearly event. We try and get as many of our guys to go as possible. This year we actually had eight people from the Dynasty.
That's super cool.
Got to go to LA, kind of hang out. It's when you're in a franchise like we are, and y'all know this. You start to build those relationships over the years, and it becomes more than just playing a video game. So, it's always good to see my brothers when we get to hang out. But yeah, we got to go to EA Play, and really get our first impressions of what Madden 20 is going to be about. We stood in line a lot less this year than we did last year. Got in, got to hang with Mole a little bit as he was doing some promo for Madden 20, and then we actually got on the sticks. The first game I played, I actually got to play our head commish, Nasty Noop, who owns the Falcons in our team, and the game just looks really, really well. And I said the same thing about 19 when I went to EA Play. The graphics, the way it looks really well. But the thing I like about Madden 20, the feel of this game is a lot better than 19 was. I feel like it's more fluid. The run game is a lot better. You're not able to stand in the pocket for 10 seconds unrealistically in Madden 20. There's going to be a good pass rush. Your linebackers are going to play true to form. At least at EA Play and in the beta, this is how it's playing. Now, if that's how it ends up being at the end of the cycle for Madden 20, of course, is yet to be seen. But I'm really impressed with the way the game plays right now at its point right now. Would love for it to stay this way for the next 12 months.
I wasn't going to go there, but you've mentioned it a couple times. I'm super interested. I made the comment, maybe to you. I don't remember who I was talking to be totally honest. And the comment was that what the guys, I've never gotten to go to EA Play. That would be a cool thing to do one year. But what the guys play at EA Play is usually not what we get in August, and what we get in August is usually not what we have in October, and what we have in October is usually not what we have in February. Why do you think that is? Why is the game tweaked and touched so much to where it is a completely different game by the end of the cycle than it was at the beginning?
I think we have to look at our community and what our community demands from the developers at Electronic Arts. If you pay attention to what guys are talking about throughout the cycle of they don't like this, they don't like that, and you get people above that development level, and we got to hear a previous developer got on a podcast this past a couple months ago, and he talked about how handcuffed sometimes developers are for a video game, where what they want in the game is not necessarily what the guys that make the final decision want. And so if you're worried just about the dollar side of it at EA, and those are the guys that are making the decisions, they're the ones that are telling our developers, hey, you got to change this, you got to change that, we got to make this a little bit different, and so I think a lot of that is some push and some give and take with the developers and the guys above them. And then I always think, my biggest problem is when they make a decision to change something, I don't know if they necessarily look at the full scope of things and say, okay, if we fix this, what is it going to ruin on the other side?
Yep.
And so you saw a lot of times in Madden 19 where they did fix some things in Madden 19 that needed to be fixed. But then you had something else break where it was like, the most famous thing is the fall forward animation. that was such a big thing where every time you could basically line up and run quarterback sneak all the way up and down the field because you were getting that animation where you were gaining 3-4 yards off of a tackle. And
Yep.
so, it's just one of those things where I think those guys have a really difficult position once the game comes out, is that they want to make the community happy, but I don't know if that's ever possible because there's so many different opinions on what should be in the game and what shouldn't, that you know you're always going to make somebody upset. You're going to make a group happy. You're going to make another group mad. And so
Yep.
I've just always been that fan of whatever the game comes out. If it's truly broken, let's fix those little things, but let's not change the game dramatically. We can do all of that. We can do all of that maybe in the next cycle. We can look at some of the things that we think, okay, we should have maybe added this to the game. Let's add that for the next Madden, versus us trying to always go in there and make a perfect game, which is never going to happen. Because I think when they do those things, man, it feels like you're trying to learn a new Madden 8 times every time
Yep.
a game comes out. And that's really, as a franchise guy, that's the most frustrating thing for me.
Yeah, and it makes it really tough. I'm sure the Dynasty has the same thing where you set sliders, the game changes, and then the sliders have to completely change. And now you're just chasing your tail for 12 months, and that's not fun. Maniac, I want you to go next. Just one last question for me before I let Maniac go would be that what you played at EA Play and now that you've played the beta, is it the same, or you already have noticed some changes between what you had at EA and what you've played now?
Yeah, it's almost identical to what we played at EA Play. Of course, none of the ratings are where they're going to be when the game drops. And, the little bit I got to play at EA Play, 5 or 6 games, I kind of feel the same thing with the beta. I think it's really, really close. And I thought 19 was really, really close too. There were some changes in the beta in 19 that we didn't see at EA Play. But and there was things at EA Play that, we saw when we played that were a bug, like, the tight end wouldn't come off the line of scrimmage, or, some of the times the corners would be flipped on where they were supposed to be responsible. And so there were some things. And when we talked to some of the developers and the guys at EA Play, they said, yeah, we know about that one. We couldn't get it fixed before we got here to EA Play, but it's in the works to get fixed, before, the game comes out. Then they may have got that fixed before they got the beta out to us. But it's really, really close to what we saw at EA Play.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of had a couple questions for you, Xpert, and thanks for taking time to be on here on the OMFL Press Pass Live with us. What kind of stuck out to you the most about Madden 20 when you first laid your hands on it?
The most important thing that I saw was, and I'll say there's probably two. First, the animation of getting to the line of scrimmage is gone. And when they first brought that out and said, we're getting rid of it, there's just going to be a time lapse where you're getting to the line, where we're just going to take seconds off of the play clock to simulate that time of from the huddle to the line of scrimmage. I was leery of that, just for the fact of how is that going to affect me making adjustments at the line, the defense making adjustments. But it's after you play the game for an hour, you don't even recognize that anymore. Yep. You're so focused on what you're trying to do that you don't even realize you're not getting out of a huddle and running to the line of scrimmage. And that was just a wasted animation that Madden had to have in it. And then I really do love the no huddle, where if you run no huddle, it's taking time off of the clock. And so I've seen some guys on Twitter that have voiced concerns about that, but it's realistic football. It takes guys time to get back to the line of scrimmage. There's time coming off of that clock. So I really like that. But probably the most important thing is I'm very pleased with how linebackers are playing football now. One of the most frustrating things to me is, and listen, your boy Xpert does it all the time. I will stand at the line of scrimmage and jump. I will jump 40 feet in the air and yank that ball out of the air in a heartbeat. So
I love that you at least admit it and own it.
Yeah, right. I don't want people to think like Xpert's not trying to do that thing. I'm trying to take every user lurk I can get on Madden 19 because I'm trying to win a Super Bowl with my Jacksonville Jaguars in the Dynasty. So I will yank a ball out of the air at the line of scrimmage in a heartbeat. But I have not seen that in Madden 20. Now, I have tried it, and I've seen the ball go over a linebacker's head several times. I've done it to other guys playing online. And so I really like that linebackers are truly playing to their form and having to play off of their ratings. And we had this discussion with some of the guys in the dynasty that we really feel after playing the game for a little bit that maybe ratings are going to matter more in Madden 20 than we've ever seen before. And if that's the case, you're going to make a lot of people in franchise very, very happy.
Absolutely, absolutely. That kind of brings me to my next question. With we've been playing the beta and stuff, and we've kind of had our discussions about X Factor and stuff. But how much impact will X Factor make on the game this year? Are you excited about it? Are you worried about it? What's your thoughts?
I love it. If you have a guy on your roster, and as a Dallas Cowboy fan, I'll use DeMarcus Lawrence as an example. If DeMarcus Lawrence gets 2 or 3 sacks in a series, he's amped up. He is coming off of that ball faster and stronger than he did the previous play because he's trying to go get him another one. It's just like Drew Brees. If Drew Brees goes out here and he completes 5-6 passes, he hits Michael Thomas, he hits Kamara out the backfield, and he starts to get in a rhythm, he's going to do some things and he's going to feel more confident in his arm as he runs his team down the field. Now, can the X factor and superstar ability become overpowered at some point? Sure. I think, they're going to have to watch it. It's not going to be one of those things where I think Patrick Mahomes gets, activates his superstar ability and all of a sudden he can't throw an incomplete pass. He can't get tackled. Those things, if it becomes one of those things where it's, it's truly overpowered where it feels like it takes over the game, then I'll start to have a problem with it. But I've played the game quite a bit and I just don't see that. And you can deactivate those things. So if Drew Brees gets hot and he completes 5 passes in a row over 5 yards in the air and he gets hot, if you get a sack on him, that goes away. He has to start over. Or if Kamara drops a ball, his starts over. If you get a touchdown, then the defensive end can no longer get that instant pressure on you.
Right.
So there's always ways to combat it, and I think that's the thing. It's just weird, the community that we're in, guys, and this because y'all are a part of this. We ask so much for EA to add new stuff and fix this and do this, and then when they add stuff and fix this and do that, all of a sudden those same people that were asking for it are now like, why are you doing this to our game? And so I just think, and I tweeted that this morning, like, I really think if EA could figure a way to have money shoot out of your Xbox or your PlayStation, there would still be guys that would get on Twitter and complain that these guys have no clue what they're doing building a video.
The bills are wrinkled.
Yeah.
It's too much money. Now where I'm going to put it.
Now I got to pay taxes on this stuff y'all spitting out of my Xbox. So, and look, I have never been one of those that have said EA is perfect. And, I had a great chance last year at EA Play to talk to Clint. And Clint said the same thing. Look, we're not perfect. And we know we're not perfect. And we know we're never going to be perfect. And that's impossible. But we just want to put a game out that people love to play, that they enjoy to do. And that's really what they want. So, and so I hope people can really get their arms around this game and love it. But of course, I understand that there's always going to be people that are going to look at EA and no matter what they do, it's never going to be enough. It's never going to be happy. And I'm just one of those people that I love playing their video game because I got 31 brothers that we play a Dynasty League 365 days. And so, we have a blast doing it. Now, we gripe and complain about the game, and I'll throw a fit when I throw 4 interceptions because 3 of them aren't my fault. But, that's just part of Madden. And so, but I'm really loving 20, guys, and I certainly hope EA keeps it the way it is right now.
All right.
I got one more for you before we let you get out of here because we're way over our 10 minutes as I said that we would be.
I could literally get on this podcast and talk with y'all all day.
The one thing I've learned, you never give a preacher a microphone and ask him if he's got something to say because he's always got something to say. What is your favorite low-key addition feature that isn't being talked about?
Okay, I really am enjoying the wide receiver DB interaction at the line of scrimmage.
Amen, preach it.
So, last year, press was broken. I wouldn't even say it was broken. Press just didn't exist in Madden 19. And so, the interaction that you have with the DB and a wide receiver, especially if you have a great wide receiver or a great defensive back. And so, I don't think there's going to be any more. And that's if the game plays the way it plays right now, you're not going to get a 65 overall third cornerback on your roster is not going to guard Julio Jones 25 out of 27 times. It's just not going to happen. It wouldn't happen in real life. Julio Jones is going to eliminate that guy from the game. And so you're starting to see some more interaction, and we see it on the offense and defensive line as well. You have a great pass rusher. If you don't double team Aaron Donald, you're going to have your quarterback laying on his back all game long. And so some of those interactions that I'm seeing that aren't being talked about because they're not flashy. No one's talking about what happens before the ball's in the air or after a person catches it is so crucial to me as a franchise guy, because that means that now when I go to look at free agency or I go to the draft, I got to draft guys that I feel are going to help my team versus I'm just going to take the fastest guy that's out there, or I'm just going to take, the tallest wide receiver. And so a lot of these things, the little changes that they're making is what's so impressive to me.
All right, man. Thank you so much for spending some time. But let's tell people where to go. Tell them a little bit about DaDynasty. Tell them about your website. Where can people go follow you? Where can they find your content? Go ahead and pitch yourself for us.
Yeah, so DaDynasty is we just celebrated our 5th year. Now, nowhere near OMFL. I think y'all have been around for 133 years now.
32. It's just 32.
Okay, I knew I was close. But yeah, 5-year anniversary for DaDynasty. You can check us out at on YouTube, DML Network. That's where all my shows are at. Experts Corner is on there. The bye week. We'll have a live draft here real soon for Madden 20. But that's DML Network on YouTube. You can see me on Twitter at DML Experts Corner. And I'm also now on Facebook as a Facebook streamer. And it's real simple. Just go to Facebook and type in Experts Corner, and you can catch me there catching L's all day long on Madden 19. And I'll be on there on Madden 20 as well. But, yeah, that's where you can catch me anywhere. Anytime you hit me on Twitter, I'm always available. And I usually respond real quick when someone hits me up. So all my links are there on my Twitter page. But, man, appreciate y'all sending an invite. I love doing stuff with y'all.
Yep, we do. And if you're ever looking for another place to come and play some Madden, you always have a home here. I'll say one of my personal, real life human agitators, I guess is a word you could say, is people who just think that they're way too famous and way too important to answer tweet DMs or to answer text messages, and you got to jump through hoops to be able to send them a message. Expert is not that way. Expert will answer your stuff. He will get back to you, and I super appreciate just who you are as a person and who you represent in the community. And you're right, our community can be toxic, and but yeah. I also think that there are some really amazing people out there, and I just personally choose to try to not light pitchforks and go burn people's houses down, and instead let's highlight the really good people, and you're one of the really good people out there. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking some time on a Saturday morning to come hang out with Maniac and I, and hope you have a blessed week, and we'll get you to come back once this game comes out to release.
All right, guys. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a wonderful day, and God bless.
There you have it, Mr. Xpert of DaDynasty. Go check him out. We got all his websites up right here. So Experts Corner right here on Twitter. Go give him a follow, man. And then his Facebook page is Experts Corner. This dude is a monster. He is freaking constantly streaming. I am super jealous. I don't say that in a mean way at all. I wish I could do that. And then DaDynasty is on the DML network on YouTube, so go give them a follow. Tons of really great content, top-notch graphics. They do it right, man, and I gotta tip my cap to them. Guys like this make me want to pick up our game, and I do. I try really, really hard for graphics and for everything else that we kind of put together here. And I know Maniac, you helped me out a ton. So I appreciate him making some time for us and coming to hang out with us. But let's get and talk some. Let's talk some Madden 19 and some OMFL. It's been a crazy couple of weeks here, and it's that weird time of the season where tensions are riding high, to say the least. Some people have definitely figured this game out, and they figured out, how what works and what doesn't. Let's just call a spade a spade. And you're seeing a lot of what works, and you don't really see anything that doesn't. I can tell you can see my game right here against the Falcons. Man, I've had that feeling many times where, I wasn't 5 minutes deep into this game, and I was frustrated enough to quit and break the golden rule of never quitting a game. And I told him, I will never play you again. I was like, I just won't. I just refuse to play him in Madden 19 ever again. It's been rough, but we still got a season to play, and we still got to get through this. And outside of Massimo, who, there are good, we talked about this, right? There are good ways to start a day, and then there are not so good ways to start a day. And a not so good way to start a day is getting ticked off by a guy that you like. I actually like Massimo. I have no issues with Massimo. He's been super great this entire Madden. 4 Maddens ago, not so much, right? But the last couple of Maddens, he's been engaged. Look, Massimo's got a young child. He's a police officer. I super freaking respect his job, and that he's serving people and he's keeping us safe. But man, he pissed me off this morning. And I call it lack of
pissed in the Cheerios.
Call it lack of sleep. Call it whatever you want to call it. But to see somebody make the comment that he hopes we don't dumb down the sliders to make it an even playing field kind of pissed me off, because I'm like, you and I alone put in 20, 30 hours of test time together, and not counting what we did separately. I mean, I've got to be over 50 or 60 hours of testing the entire Madden. I'm not talking about in August and September. Freaking, this was happening in December, January, February, and it wasn't to even the playing field. It just was to make it realistic, and there was a hair triggery there, and it just was what it was. But I want to breathe. I want to do my woosahs, find some yoga, center myself in prayer, and we're going to talk about some Madden 19 here, and then we're going to get to some Madden 20. But let's talk about weeks 6, 7, and 8. We're in week 9, which looks like it's actually wrapped up. So here's what we'll do. We'll go 7, 8, or 9, because week 9 is wrapped up. I guess we just need to advance this thing. So if any commissioners are on and you're watching, feel free to go ahead and force him a win for the Cowboys there, and get us into week 10 so we can get this puppy wrapped up. We're trucking along quickly. I mean, seems like every 48 hours guys are engaged, and that's one thing I am super proud of. We're not getting a ton of content right now, but guys are super engaged. And here in the next probably 10 days, Mr. Maniac, you and I are going to have to start thinking about coach, top 20 coaches. We're gonna have to start thinking about Hall of Fame. We're gonna have to start thinking about all the end of the season stuff. There's gonna be a lot of work to do before Madden 20 drops. But give me your favorite game from week 7, week 8, or week 9.
Well, I'm gonna go with probably the game that we called our commentary game that we called the Redskins and the Eagles. That was really a good game to watch. It was really good FPR, and then not only that, we had an Eagles team that came in that was, not really all that great in the in the stats and the record and everything, facing a Washington Redskins team that was just on paper a lot more dominant on offense compared to the Eagles. But we came into this game, we saw the Eagles really come out and do a great job on defense, held the Redskins to basically only 10 points, I believe, on offense. And then you had the Eagles actually did show some things on offense for themselves. We had Sundstrom, he was 8 of 18, 91 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. He had a pretty rough day. Jacobs, the new running back there, the rookie running back, 14 of 47, wasn't great, but he did, kind of consistently stay with the run. And I think that helped him a lot, really, in the first part of the game. And then Henderson had 4 receptions for 58 yards and a touchdown. I know there's not a lot of sexy stats here and stuff, but the game that we watched, we saw the Eagles really harass Luck all game. Luck only was for 17 for 81 yards and one interception. I mean that is unbelievable numbers from Luck, and just shows you how much this defense really kind of swarmed to the ball. He had one interception. I believe he also had a fumble. And for the most part, the big bruiser Ledbetter, uh, uh, he was kept in check, 16 rushes for 67 yards and one touchdown. And then his top receiver only had 2 receptions for 28 yards. So uh, the key things to this game was the turnovers, and the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles threw those 3 interceptions, and 2 of those were taken back for touchdowns. If not for that, we're looking at possibly a totally different game here, and possibly the Eagles sitting with 3 wins instead of that 5th loss going into the second half of the season.
Yeah, this was a ton of fun. Tech Demons showed up this game too. We actually commentated an entire pregame show and entire first quarter before we realized that YouTube had changed my stream codes, and though it said we were streaming, we actually were not streaming. But this was a fun game to watch, and this is a game where stats don't tell the story, and they definitely didn't tell the story because the Eagles dominated this entire game. He made 3 really bad passes. You take away those 3 really terrible decisions, or even you take away the 2 that went like automatically back for pick sixes, that just like terrible breaks. He wins this game. I mean, he dominated from start to finish. That defense was flying around. I know Ledbetter had a good day, and he's a good running back, but that came really late in that game. The Eagles' defense was tired. He completely shut down Luck and really played well on offense. I know the stats are not sexy, but he played much better than his stats showed, and simply just struggled with making some really bad passes at a really, really bad time. And if he is able to figure out how to avoid that, I think you have a much, much better game. I'm going to go with the Broncos and Dolphins from week number 9. This ended up being a 30-27 victory for the Miami Dolphins. A little bit of abuse for one play. There was definitely one play that got abused for the Denver Broncos, but overall, this was a nice, close game between the Broncos, who've turned things around this season. I wish he would turn his FPR around, but he definitely turned his record around, playing against a very consistent Kevin and his Dolphins. Now, Kevin's got the Madden code thanks to you, and Kevin and I got to play yesterday, and I just want to throw it out there that, Kevin, you were completely dominated by my New Orleans Saints, and Kevin was, throwing out the excuses before we even played. Oh, I've got no 90 overall players. I've got no X Factors. But this game, he has very, very good team. Niklos, not a sexy game, 9 for 14 for 175, a touchdown with an interception. But Anderson, a very good game, 22 carries, for 89 yards. No touchdowns, so a little bit of a defensive battle. As you can see, both defenses got some interceptions. Murray played great, 18 for 32, 372, a touchdown, but the 2 big interceptions. Not much of a running game there for the Denver Broncos. 13 carries from Mr. Bowe for only 28 yards. He did have 2 touchdowns, but those are just short little punch-ins. Sutton, 9 receptions for 152. Horton, 5 receptions for 143. You don't really see any of that for the Miami Dolphins. Parker had 4 for 81, which isn't too bad, but it was Kenny Stills with the long touchdown of 29 yards that ended up helping him. It was really the defenses that shine here. Hamilton had 4 tackles, 2 of them sacks. Howard had an interception. McCain throws in another interception. Whereas on the other side of the ball, it was really Birch was the player for him. 1 sack, 6 tackles, and 1 interception. Coney threw in a forced fumble, but a nice tight back and forth defensive game that set up some offensive plays. And the Miami Dolphins come out on top. That's a big win for him against a very good Denver Broncos team that has shown us all something this season and played much better than what we've seen him play in the past.
Right.
All right, it's going to bring us to some buy or sell. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with the NFC. Well, just because we always start with the AFC. We're going to start with the NFC, though, this time. And we're just going to talk about the buying or selling of teams that are hovering right around potential of making some plays. And we're going to buy or sell. Do they make the playoffs? So that means if you're winning your division, if you're leading your division, we're not going to talk about your team. And if you're in last place of your division, unless all of those last placers are tied, we're not going to talk about yours either. So let's start with the NFC East. Are you going to buy or sell the Giants making the playoffs?
At this point, I'm selling because he's had some injuries. He's also fixing to get a sim loss there, so that's going to put him. Well, with the tie, he's still going to be in second place. But I just think that Barkley is not having the type of year that he had last season, and he's struggling. He lost his quarterback. I'm not sure if he's out for the whole season now or if he's out for an extended amount of time, but I know he's out. And so that's really hurt his passing game, as you can see in some of his stats in the last couple of games. And I'm going to sell the Giants and Pepper. I think I had to give him props. He's really battled back and played a lot better. He's also not been his own worst enemy as of late. But I just think that with those types of things that he's got going on, plus Barkley not playing as he had last season, I just think it's going to be an uphill battle for him. So I'm going to sell the Giants.
Dallas Cowboys. Are you buying and selling the Dallas Cowboys at 4-4?
Right now, if I'm buying them to go to the playoffs, we're still going to stick. We're going to step those back on Leatherway, but for them to finish at least second, second in the division, yeah, we're going to buy them because he's got the offensive firepower, and that defense is stacked. I really don't know, why he's kind of struggled a little bit. I think a lot of it he hasn't been around. He's had a lot of stuff going on in personal life and stuff, but I'm going to buy him to make a second half of the season run here. It just depends on all these other records and some of these other divisions, and that if he makes the playoffs. But I'm going to go ahead and buy him.
Yeah, I should have given my thoughts on the Giants first. I'm going to sell them. I mean, I'm going to buy them, but I'm reluctantly buying them just because it's a little part of last man standing. He is 4-2-1. What worries me is the 23 points for his offense, but 26 points for his defense, and he's 1-1-1 in the division. So that worries me a little bit. I'm actually going to sell the Cowboys at 4-4. He's completely disengaged this last season. He has tons of opinions on what we should be doing in Madden 20, but he doesn't seem to have any opinions about playing his games in Madden 19. So he's at 4-4. He's scoring 18 points and giving up 21 points. I think there's a little too big of a hole there. Now, I will say it is trending up because he did get a CPU win this week against the Giants. Giants struggled against his Dallas Cowboys. All right, let's move over to the NFC North. We're just going to hop on over to see our North buddies. And guess what? We're not buying and selling any of them fools. You want to know why? Because they're 2-6. Can somebody win a game in this division? Here's what I'm going to buy or sell. Are you buying or selling the fact that the winner out of this division may be a 500 or sub-500 team?
I'm buying the fact that it's going to be a 500 team because it's this division, this whole cycle of Madden has not had I say that except for like one season. I think the winner had 10 wins, and I believe that was the Bears the year that Smash had won it. And after that, it's been 8-8. I think there was even a 7-9 winner that came out of this one season. I believe that was one of the seasons Double won. And I'm definitely buying if whoever wins this division is going to be out in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I would scream this if I knew my wife wouldn't wake up and hit me with a pot, but I am by that statement. There's no way somebody out of the NFC North comes above 500. It's the most head-scratching division ever. Double No, who has been on the Madden 20 beta stream with us a ton, he's given up for Madden 19. He's over it, and he's moved on in his brain, and so he's given up. I've been looking for the Packers offense for about 7 seasons now, and his defense now has decided to go ahead and leave the country as well. And so if we can get Priest's photo on a milk carton and start getting that out there, I would like to know that he is safe and sound and not being harmed in any way. And then the Minnesota Vikings, Tim, I know, like a lot of us, right, has some life things that have kept him from being unfocused. But, man, he's doing the game of the week, and so I don't want to take too many shots over at Tim because I want to see that game of the week. And so Smash, our buddy, who is actually on the stream right now, congratulations. You are the winner of the NFC North. I don't think that you'll be able to get much for a trade-in, though, and you're going to have to pay the taxes on it. But either way, you've been handed the NFC North once again. Let's move over to the NFC West. You got the Seahawks winning that division at 8-0. Good luck beating that dude. But are you buying or selling the Cardinals at 6-2?
I'm buying those Cardinals. They had a big win against the Falcons. The previous, I think, is week 8, and that was a big game. Hey, I'm buying the Cardinals to make the playoffs. As a wild card team, they're going to probably be the number 5 seed. I don't see them catching the Seahawks. I don't see anybody catching the Seahawks unless it's another dirty bird. But the Cardinals have actually done a really good job. And the thing that sticks out right here is points allowed. Only 13 points allowed. That is a defense that's going to shut down a lot of people. And I haven't looked over his roster. I don't know who he picked up in free agency, but this defense is a totally different beast than it was last season. And it was pretty good last season, but I mean these are phenomenal numbers, and he's putting up 26 points a game. So anytime you're doubling what you're giving up, you're going to win a lot of games, and that's what we got here. He's 6-2. Look for him to probably finish the season with only about 4 losses going into the playoffs, and look for him to be the 5th seed out of the NFC.
Bye the Cardinals. 6-2. You're absolutely right. 26 points, 13 against. This guy is dominating on every side of the ball. The problem is he's in a division with another. I'm kind of tired of saying this, and I love this guy. He's my buddy, but you unnice people in this league who helped the Seahawks once again build a super team, even after I created rules specifically to keep him from creating another super team. You all still did it. You are all to blame. You all should feel really crappy about yourselves. But the Seattle Seahawks are dominating once again. The Cardinals are great, man. They dominated the Falcons last advance, not this past one, but the one before. And Mo is really showing us something. And look, if he can get over this hump that's called the Seattle Seahawks, he may win another bowl game here, but he's got a pretty large road ahead of him to navigate and figure out. Let's move over to the NFC South, the last one before we go to the AFC. Are you buying or selling my New Orleans Saints at 5-3 to make the playoffs?
I'm buying the Saints as long as you don't have to play the Falcons. That is the only stipulation with the Saints. The Saints, the only thing that does concern me, the points allowed. That's probably the highest I've seen you allow points this Madden cycle. Your defense is usually pretty stout, and that I don't know if it's player personnel, what the deal is with that, but you have still put up a good amount of points. You're actually you're third in that division right now, but 21 points is nothing to sneeze at there, and it's just I think your defense right there is the only thing that's been kind of a head scratcher. But and what's been, looking at the kind of the layout of the NFC right now and stuff, I really do think you have a chance to snag that last playoff spot. So I'm going to go ahead and buy the Saints to finish second in the NFC South and sneak into the playoffs.
Well, I can't buy the Giants and buy the Saints, so I'm going to have to sell my Saints. And you're right, my defense has been very subpar. I just kind of find myself in no man's land. I can't seem, the Falcons definitely didn't help that average of 21 points this past week as he completely dominated me from start to finish. It was not even a game after the kickoff, and man, it just left me super frustrated. And I've been super frustrated a lot this season. I built a 3-4. I drafted for a 3-4. I really put in the work, the effort to build my defensive line and my linebackers for a 3-4. Did all the moves that you would see in a classic 3-4, and it just was getting gashed in the first 4 or 5 games of the season in running. And so my 3-4 had to go back to a 4-3, which I'm not 100% built for. Even though I do try to build for a multiple defense, I've had to move to a 4-3 to stop the run, and I can't figure this game out anymore. And I know I feel like a jerk saying that because I have made the playoffs every season where the people like the Rams and the Falcons, like those guys have been struggling to make the playoffs. So there's a little bit of caveat there, but there is a difference between making the playoffs every year and actually pushing for a championship. And I'm not in that upper echelon, and I can't figure out what it's going to take to get there, which is kind of frustrating. So I'm going to sell my Saints, and it's going to be because of that defense. And the lack of the running game. Kamara has not had a great season. The offensive line, which should be dominant, like completely dominant, is not as dominant as I had hoped. And it's a little bit of a head scratcher. Let's move over to the AFC. We're going to buy and sell some friends over the AFC. We're going to do the same thing, East, North, West, South. So let's start with the East. You got the Patriots leading that division at 6-2, but 2 teams fairly close. Are you buying or selling the Dolphins at 5-3?
I'm going to buy the Dolphins. Kev, he's had a really great Madden cycle so far, and I think he's only missed the playoffs possibly 1 or maybe 2 seasons. But it's been a few. He's had more playoff appearances this Madden than he has not been in. So I'm buying the Dolphins. The Dolphins have really the biggest improvement with his team. I think this year has been his running game, and also I think last year he started kind of getting into that rushing mode, kind of finding his niche with the running game, and he's kind of seemed to prolong that into this season. So I'm definitely buying the Dolphins, Kev, to make the playoffs. But I will admit that the AFC top to bottom, I think is a lot stronger than the NFC. You see a lot more teams with a better record. So this is kind of there's going to be probably a lot of teams vying for that those last 2 wildcard spots. But I think Kev's going to sneak out one.
Yeah, this one's tough for me because my heart says go Kev. My head says, man, there's a lot of teams in the running for this position. I'm going to go ahead and buy the Kevin, and here's why. 27 points for, only 20 against. I don't like that he's 1-2 at home, though. You have to win those home games. If he wins those home games, he's sitting at 7-1 right now in a completely different situation. I do love that he's 4-1 on the road and 3-0 in the division, and for those reasons, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to buy Kev. Are you buying or selling the Jets at 4-4?
I really love Clyde Jason. I don't know what he goes by nowadays, but he's really a really great competitor. Sitting at 4-4, the only thing that bothers me is his defense has given up a lot of points, and he's actually given up 26 points a game. And at 4-4, we played in the preseason, and he just absolutely destroyed me in the preseason, the last game. And I was kind of anticipating him really having a great season, possibly being in that position where the Patriots are at right now. But he's kind of had an up and down first 8 games of the season, and so I'm going to sell the Jets. I love everything that he does. He plays really great FPR. He's one of the better cornerback user in our league.
I think
But
he's the only cornerback user.
well, I actually I've since I've played against him a few times, I've actually picked up and started playing cornerback a little bit here and there myself, especially if I'm anticipating certain plays or whatever coming. But yeah, he is definitely by far the top guy at that, and really the only one that I've seen that's consistently over and over, play after play, use the cornerback and shut down one side of the field. Uh, but I'm going to sell him, and uh, I love you, but I just got to sell the Jets here.
Yeah, I got to sell the Jets. You're 4-4. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other teams that are at 5 wins already, and I just think that it's going to be too high of a hill to climb for the Jets and Clyde. And again, like you said, his defense is just giving up way too many points. I'm not sure what happened to this team. He was in the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, the one that I freaking I'm still sick about it, simmed. And ever since then, it's like I broke his heart, and he hasn't recovered from it, and his team has not played well as he's been having to rebuild them to fit a different style. Let's move over to the AFC North. You got the Bengals winning that division at 6-2, but the Browns are right there at 5-3. Are you buying or selling the Browns as a playoff team in season 85?
Oh, from Press Pass Live, like what 2-3 episodes ago, I was all in on the Browns, and I was praising the Browns, and pretty much I was his only fan, his only fan right now. But 5-3 is a good record, and I'm not sure if he won his last game this week. I didn't get a chance to look at that, but he's scoring 23 points. This is the most points I've seen Chaotic actually put up. And I mean, he's second in that division scoring points, but he's also second to last giving up points. And he's had a couple of rough games here at the last. I'm going to have to sell him. Even though I had kind of predicted possibly him coming in and really pushing for the AFC North title. I just don't think that he's got what it takes. I do think he actually finishes with a winning record this season, but I'm going to have to sell him.
Yeah, I'll buy the winning record, but I'm selling him as a playoff team. And again, same thing with the Jets. I just think it's too high of a hill to overcome. Now, I will say there's a lot about this team to like. I hate that he's 2-2 at home, but love that he's 3-1 on the road. He's 2-1 in the division. He's scoring 23 points, which is the most points he's ever scored, but very unchaotic. So like he's giving up 25 points a game. So just like the Jets, he's just giving up way too many points. And I think there are just too many other teams that are in the hunt and in the running. Let's move over to the AFC West. Of course, your Chiefs, high and mighty at 6-2, are winning that division. But you got two teams that we're going to buy or sell that are hanging right there with you. The Broncos at 5-3. Are you buying or selling the Broncos as a playoff team in season 85?
I'm buying the Broncos as a playoff team. In fact, one of my 2 losses that I have was against him, and it really wasn't even close. He dominated the game against me, and I had really no answer that game. He traded away Nixon to the Seahawks, but he really hasn't missed a beat. He's got some big receivers over there, and then a couple of really small, shifty, fast receivers to go along with him. So he's got a good receiver core that just gets open, and it's really a tough matchup. I'm really definitely going to buy him for the playoffs. I still think he may actually push me out of the division title and push me into a playoff spot, because he's just shown that he's got a big offensive firepower. He's putting up 27 points a game. Him and the Raiders both are tied for the lead in our division. He has given up 23 points a game, but he's definitely his pass rush has definitely improved this season. And he lost Miller to retirement, but I believe he picked up someone in free agency to take his spot. and he creates turnovers. Uh, I know you'll probably say something about his FPR when you get to him, but yeah, he's definitely kind of scraped the surface of the FPR thing a few
He
times.
peeled that
So
mofo all the way back.
yeah, and but I'm definitely buying him for the playoffs.
Yeah, I can only buy two of these teams. I've already purchased one, and I know who I'm saving my second one for. So I'm going to sell the Denver Broncos reluctantly. Yeah, look, the FPR is what the FPR is. It ain't good. And I would lovingly say that he should know that all of this, everyone should know that all of what's happening in seasons up to season 85 will be taken into consideration as you get your invites for Madden 20. And some of us won't be getting invites. So let's clean it up if you want to keep that invite, and let's prove that you're engaged here, because if you're not creating content and you're not engaging in the chats, then your FPR better be freaking pristine if you want to keep your spot here, because there are guys who have better FPR who will create content and who will be completely engaged. So selling the Broncos reluctantly, but they have it all together. They're scoring a lot of points. Kyler Murray's playing really good football. I don't love that they're 1-2 on the road. It doesn't speak well to going on the road that you're going to have to do in the playoffs and win a ball game. But he's playing exceptionally good football right now, and he's a tough out. But again, the Denver Broncos failed to the Miami Dolphins this week, and that just, I think that Kev just has a little bit more experience, which is why I went with Kevin, and I'm not going to go with the Denver Broncos, which sends us to the second team in your division, the Oakland Raiders at 4-4. Are you buying or selling the Oakland Raiders as a playoff team?
You know, and this is what gets down tough. I mean, you got so many teams, and like I said, top to bottom, the AFC just seems to have better records, overall records, and more competitive across the board than NFC. Uh, and if he was in the NFC, I think he's probably going to make the playoffs. But since he's in this tough, not only AFC West division, but he's also in this tough AFC conference, that it's just going to be an uphill battle, and he's going to have a lot of things happen. Some of these top echelon teams to stumble and fall, and I just don't think it's going to happen. He's scoring 27 points a game, but he's also giving up 28 points a game, and he's got not a very good home record. 2-2 at home, 3-2 on the road. It's I really like Jay Bowles, but we're going to sell the Raiders. Going to miss the playoffs, and I'm probably going to say that he's going to have a winning record, but he may be on the cusp of finishing 8-8 on the season.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear, and it could be. He is sitting at 5-4. I don't like his offense and defense. 27 points is amazing. Like, that's a really firepower offense. Words, they're not my friend. But 28 points per game and being 2-2 in the division is just too much of an uphill battle to overcome. Good season for him. It's good to see the Raiders playing good football. It's always much more enjoyable whenever the Raiders are playing good football. A guy who's had many FPR issues up to this point, but this season it's been pretty quiet, and so that's a good thing. If you have FPR issues, you want it to be quiet. Now let's move over to what arguably is the best division in the OMFL in season 85, and that's the AFC South. You got the Titans winning that division right now at 5-3, but you got the Colts at 5-3 and the Texans at 5-4. So we're going to talk about both of those. Are you buying or selling the Colts at 5-3 to be a playoff team?
Can I get this put in like big bold letters?
Big bold.
We're buying Colts because they are run by probably the best coach, owner, user that we have in our league by far is Dwayne. He's always very consistent, and we're buying the Colts. He's putting up 30 points a game. That's tops in the AFC in points scored. And most of the time, his defense is only given up in the teens. Usually, he's the top defensive guy, but right now he's giving up 21 points. So I think that's part of part of the struggles that he's had, and the reason why he's actually dropped 3 games this actual season here in season 85. But he's roared back here the last couple weeks, and he took me to the woodshed on one game, of course, and it's just typical Dwayne game, just dominated, just controlled the ball, run the ball down your throat, no matter even if you have 8 guys in the box, he still finds a way to wiggle through and get gains, and we're buying the Colts. He's going to win this division. The Titans have kind of actually struggled here in the last 3-4 weeks, I believe. I believe he's like 2-2 in the last 4 weeks. So we're giving the Colts the division again, and definitely by far they're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, this buy or sell could look completely different in just a little bit, but the Colts were who I was saving my second buy for. I do think that they'll make the playoffs. I can't imagine the playoffs without Dwayne in them. 5-3, 30 points for that offense is just tremendous. I mean, I also played him, I think in week 2, something like that. Week 1, I think. And man, his rookie wide receiver, maybe second-year wide receiver, just went completely off on me.
Tobias.
Yeah, he's a monster of a kid. I'd hate to see that kid in Madden 20 because that speed and the way players are moving in Madden 20, he could be a monster to be reckoned with. But I'm buying them. I think they're going to make it 3-0 on the road. He shows his dominance on the road, struggling at home, but I do think he'll get that figured out and just being dominant in every aspect. 21 points far is a little high, but he's scoring a lot of points. And as long as that gap is that tremendous, I'm okay with him giving up that many points. It's going to send us to our last team, the Houston Texans at 5-4. Are you buying or selling the Houston Texans as a playoff team?
So this is now little coach.
I don't think it's little coach. I think you are right. It's a little Koch or Cooch or something like that. And it's really weird, and it freaks me out, and I don't like to say his name.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I'm kind of the same way. So, but anyway, I know Outlaw. Yeah, he moved over to the Bills and stuff. But Outlaw, if there's one thing that if you would use Outlaw for, I think Outlaw would be a halfway decent GM sometimes, because he
is not
really
going to take that as a compliment at all.
He puts together some really solid teams. I mean, top to bottom, this team is really stacked. And I know that the Texans actually have made some moves and stuff that himself for players that fits his style. But Outlaw really did build a solid team here. The Texans have played a pretty decent, good amount of games so far that have been really close, and actually he's really competed well. 5 wins, 4 losses, but he's also given up more points than he's scoring, and that's always a concerning point, especially when you start picking guys to make the playoffs. And on top of that, you have the guys that are all the same record above him, that's before him, and all these other divisions. I'm going to have to sell him. I know he's actually really competed well. He came from the Bucks, the NFC South, where he was consistently finishing 3rd and 4th over there in that division. But he's come over here to the really tough AFC South as well. What's with these South divisions, man? Because on both sides they're juggernauts. I mean, just. But
they made you run away.
And they made me run away. That's right. I had to go west, young man, go west. So, but I'm selling the Texans here, and they're going to miss the playoffs. And but I have to say, I think he's going to be possibly 8-8, 9-7 to finish the season. Definitely an improvement over from what he had previously had with the Bucks in that division.
Yeah, I've already squeezed all the toothpaste out of this tube, and there's no putting it back. When I gave out both of my buys, I'm going to have to sell the Texans. Little Cock or whatever your name is. It's good to see that you're playing well, and it's good to see that you're hanging in there. No pun intended, but. The uphill battle is just too much. What I do like about this team is he's 2-1 in the division, which doesn't speak well to the Titans. He better get things turned around there at 3-2. He's 3-2 on the road, but 2-2 at home, and just giving up too many points. When you're only scoring 21 points and giving up 23, I'm not a math, expert, and I'm not doing any kind of professoring at a college for trigonometry, but I would say that 21 points that you score is 2 points less than how many you're giving up. You're probably going to lose more games than you win. And so that's not a good sign for the Texans, and I'm going to have to sell them. My two buys were the the Indianapolis Colts and the Miami Dolphins, but by the time we do our next Press Pass Live, this will be a completely different story, and this will be a much clearer picture as we get a little bit closer to the end of the season in the next Press Pass Live. All right, let's talk some Madden 20. The chat was popping a while ago, and now it is dead. I don't know where everybody went. Hold on, I'm trying to... oops, sorry. I don't know where everybody went. They all disappeared, but we do have Smash and
scared.
Rob and Pootie T, I guess, from work is popping in, and so we appreciate all you guys being. Let's talk Madden 20. You and I have got to play, I wouldn't say a lot. We played a lot of hours, but actually not an actual lot of gameplay. I think I've got 2.5 games underneath my belt. I know that you played more than that because you played some online head-to-head. I'm really trying to just stick to... if I'm going to give a good, clear picture of what I'm going to be doing, which is not going to be online head-to-head, it's not going to be comp mode, it's going to be a league with sliders, then I'm trying to really give the feedback from playing a human in our league with our sliders. So with that said, the game does feel really good. You immediately... you immediately pick up on the player movement pretty quickly. It feels different from the second that you touch it. It feels different. It feels smoother. It feels more fluid. It feels more realistic. It is how FIFA has felt for many years now, where you play and you're like, man, it's hard to put your finger on it. I don't know that it necessarily changes a ton, but you're like, it feels different. It feels fluid and more realistic. But like the no huddle, and what I mean by no huddle, not the play no huddle, but the actual no walking from the huddle to the line, you get used to that pretty quickly. The first hour, it's like, oh, this feels weird. But after that, you don't even notice it, and you're off. Bam, 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 you're good to go. I think the same thing with the player movement. The first hour, it doesn't feel clunky. It feels fluid. It feels good. But after the first hour, in my opinion, you're kind of used to it. And you're just like, oh, this is how it's always felt. And then you go back and play Madden 19. You're like, oh, never mind. It doesn't feel that way.
Right.
So it does feel more fluid. My low-key feature, let's save that because I want to hear yours too. What just kind of your general overall thoughts on Madden 20?
Yeah, I have to concur with you on that as well with the player movement. I mean, it's the first thing you'll notice right away when you take, and not even the first offensive play. It's the first the kickoff. You receive a kickoff or you do the kickoff. You just notice that everything is moving a lot smoother, quicker. Guys are not making unrealistic, crazy turns, but you can actually see that where this last Madden, you're running a little bit to the right, and then you try to make that little sweet move to the left to kind of keep going. Well, if the foot plant wasn't just completely correct, then you see the guy almost do this little hiccup thing and start and stop, and then kind of lose momentum and stuff, and get an echo feedback, something.
It's good on my end. I'm not hearing any echo.
Okay.
Now I do hear it. Now that you're pointing it out, you are getting some echo.
But those type of things in Madden 20 now, you don't feel that. When you want to make a move to go somewhere, your player actually gets in there and goes, and you don't have that clunky feel that causes you to kind of lose your mobility or your momentum going in that direction and stuff. And to me, that was the very first thing that I felt. And then the no huddle, like you said, or the actual no huddle before each play. You pick your play. Basically, what it basically is when you're in the huddle is when you're picking your play, and that's kind of the way it should be. And I do like that because that does cut down on a lot of the overall wasted time, I guess, in between plays, because you're coming up to the line of scrimmage, you're surveying the field, you're getting kind of your then you can start making your adjustments, from that. And I really would say that to me that is very likable. It also helps streamline what's going on in the games. Um, the other thing that guys will have to watch out for is one of the things that surprised me was with this, and if you're driving down the field and you're actually going no huddle, in previous Maddens where you'd run 4 or 5 yards and then all of a sudden everybody's just like, you hit no huddle or whatever, and everybody's back to the line of scrimmage within 3 or 4 seconds. Well, that don't happen now. When you hit no huddle, it's going to run off at least, I think, 11 to 15 seconds off the clock.
Yeah, I think 11.
And so, if you're driving for the end of the game, win or to get in the field goal range, and you're going to hit no huddle and try to run one more pass or one more playoff, you're going to be in for a rude awakening because you're going to have the clock run out and the game's going to be over and you're going to lose. So, that's going to be one of the small things that guys are going to have to get used to. And I'm sure when it first happens, somebody's going to be like, "What happened? I lost this game. This is bull." But, the other thing that is a love-hate is the X factor. I really like how each player plays differently, especially with how their interactions with how their I'm trying to think of the word, their abilities portray throughout the game. Each one has different ones. Some of them have, I think, like one of the videos I watched. Zeke has some of the same ones that a couple, like Melvin Gordon from the Chargers. They both have the arm bar. Those are really cool to see, and those guys that have that are the ones that are able to pull that off, on a consistent basis, and that's true to real life, And the quarterback, I've played with Mahomes 2 games already. Unfortunately, I think, well, actually two and a quarter because I played a little bit against you, but both my games were actually played online in a drop-in game. And I did that just because I just didn't want to play the CPU and there was nobody else on to play. So I just done the drop-in game to see. And if you get frustrated with anybody here in this league, definitely go play somebody on drop-in in that, and it'll make you want to pull your hair out. But it did give me a feel of how some of the players are playing. And it's definitely a different beast from Madden 19, and it's going to take some time to get used to. But I'm definitely excited about what this Madden is bringing onto the table and where this may actually go into the future.
And I could be totally wrong, and I agree with you. It is a different game, but I think the learning curve is fairly small, and you get used to it very, very quick because, in my opinion, it does set up well for our rules in the FPR. It sets up to fit our play style really well and feels really, really natural. I agree with you that I like the DB and receiver interactions. That we've seen some really cool stuff in our games. I played 0-0 late last night, and we've seen some really cool interactions, some realistic interactions. The user lurk Superman stuff is dead and gone. Those days are over. Now, what I haven't noticed a ton because I just don't play that way. Maybe we get Brady to come test this out, but can you cover an entire field with one player? that may still be a thing, right? And so we'll have to definitely continue to keep that under wraps and keep the rules there. But that user lurk option where, you can pick a ball that's actually 12 to 15 yards behind you off, that's not going to happen. Those days are done. You can touch pass. You can get it over them. I even seen plays where cornerbacks, right, that were there to make the play, had the ball sail over their head and were unable to reach and make that play. So it feels really, really good. Running game is really hard. It's definitely going to need some slider adjustments. And we've started to kind of make some in the franchise. So if you have the beta code, I'll invite you to the franchise. I'm begging you, get some games in. Forget about your favorite team. Just swap teams. Do what it takes. I'll advance it every couple hours. But just get some games in and give us some feedback and tell us what you see. It's not a finished game. It's not polished. But definitely feels like it's going in the right direction. There are a couple low-key features that I'd love, and I'd love to hear what are yours. The two that really stick out to me, one we still need more testing on, and that is as you pick a play, it lists how many times you've called that play and your average yards given up or received if you're on offense. Love that feature. What we don't know is if is it going to be the lifetime of Madden or is it going to be I don't know where this feedback came back all of a sudden. Did you unplug your headphones?
No, I just pulled up. Double no was in the voices.
Double no. Guess what? Get muted, buddy. Hold on. Server muting you. I'll unmute you after it's over. That's where the feedback came from. What was I talking about? I was talking about the player pick screen. And so it shows you how many times you pick that, and that's going to be awesome. If it's not for the lifetime of Madden, if it's just per game, and that's going to be part of my feedback. Can we please make that a per game feature? And if so, that is a game changer for our community and these guys who can continue to abuse plays. It will tell you in black and white what you've done. And it'll be super easy to go back and watch film and go, well, look, there's your numbers. You called that play 20 times. Mix it up. Face. The other little low-key feature that I love is the base align. And so under your coach adjustments, you can now base align either by base feature, by man assignment, or by default, and that's a really neat feature. Now, it needs some fixing in the beta because I think it messes with where your guys line up, but if they can get that fixed just right, that'll be a really great feature. And they removed defensive line, I forgot exactly what it was called, but like the setting for defensive line to aggressively get off on the snap, that's now gone. Which is a good thing. So that is now removed from the game. I think those are some really great low-key features. Do you have any key features that are not like super sexy and not talked about that you're really enjoying?
Well, I mean, you named two of them that I was already came to mind. The other one is when you're and this one's kind of a low-key and not real big, and it's not nothing to like shout about, but the coach interaction. Now you have player morale that you're having to deal with, and then you have to do like little mini interviews throughout the week. I think it just adds to the little bit more immersion that keeps owners a little bit more busy. You can do these little things within the CFM to kind of help your team along the way. And there's some more, I guess, more thinking along the line of, what am I going to do with this? And the fact that you brought up last night, like in some games, you're going to have a third string wide receiver come up to you and say, hey, can I start this week? So there's more coaching decisions. So that's the dynamics of what was the engine?
The scenario engine.
Scenario engine. There you go. Thank you. I think that's one of the dynamics from that engine that's going to be a low key. It's not going to be something that's just, that's not a back of the box announcement for a feature, but it's something that within like CFMs that will keep guys kind of engaged and kind of doing things. And that's just something that I see that maybe will take further along. I have been one that even when I was a game changer, I I was throwing to John White that I would like to see the CFM actually be able to vote for the Super Bowl spot each season. Kind of like what they do in the NFL. It's not just set where they're going to go. They actually come up. There's 3 cities. 5 years in advance. Or which city's going to host the Super
Yep.
Bowl? So we it just kind of adds something that guys can do inside the franchise that just kind of keeps them engaged, and you start kind of seeing those things just like this that guys can click on, and it's actually affecting how their team is possibly going to perform the next week or even further along the season. Because if you get a guy that's disgruntled, it's going to affect his ratings and his overall morale, and it's going to affect your team. So a lot of things within those small type of things like that can affect and can be kind of something that can just be an addition to the game that you just don't really think about. But when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, that's cool.
No, I totally agree with you. We do have a couple of questions. I think Rob's just helping us out since we didn't get any questions because he actually has a code, so I know he probably knows the answers to these. Well, one is the biggest feature that everyone's talking about, RPOs. There's over 200, 250, something like that in the game. They're kind of all over. I've been using, because I don't have a custom book, Minnesota's playbook, and they're kind of scattered with a few of them. There seems to be 2 different styles. There's like a quick RPO where it's like a quick, what's the word I'm looking for? Like smash, run, or a quick screen. Like there's those quick, either it's throwing a quick screen, it's throwing a quick slant, or it's like a toss or a stretch play. So there's those RPOs. And then there are the more detailed, extravagant RPOs where it's, 3 options and you're running way different routes. And so it's interesting. Here's a couple of things, my initial thoughts, and I want to hear yours about RPOs. I like them. I think it adds some flavor and some flair to community. They're going to be abused and they're going to have to be monitored. I don't know how we monitor it. Maybe it's we only allow 5 RPOs in your playbook, or I don't know. Like I'm thinking completely out loud because this is literally the first time I've thought about this. But they're going to be They're not going to be overpowered. But they're going to be over abused, especially those quick ones, because literally, I can call 20 straight run plays, but if you stack the box, I can throw 20 straight slants. And so that's my problem. The only one that I've seen it work really well that worries me is there is a twin I formation twin receiver RPO where if you let the run go, you'll just run a straight I don't know why I'm so tired of everything. A dive play, thank you. Off to the right, or you can throw a bubble screen where your outside receiver is blocking, your inside receiver runs a bubble. That play versus a zone defense is going to just murder folk. It's just, I ran it, 3 times, and it picked up 20, 30 yards every single time. Now, in man defense, it'll play much, much more different. But if you catch that in a zone, you're going to get burnt. And so my worry is, are guys going to call that 12 times a game and in hope that they catch you in
catch the zone?
Yeah, 4 zones, right? And every time they catch you in a zone, they're going to run the bubble screen. Every time they catch you in a man, they're going to run the dive. That worries me, right? Because guys are going to abuse stuff like that. They're going to find those loopholes. And as much as I wish, and again, I'm going to reiterate, some guys are not going to get invites back in this league, and they're going to be like, I don't understand why. It's going to be this big old hem haul, and it's going to be because you don't get who we are as a league, right? You're the guy who's going to call 25 cover 3s in 3 different formations and call that mixing it up because you're trying to win a game, right? Or you're going to call cover 3 and cover 1 all game. That's the only 2 defensive plays you're going to call. Or you're going to, run, 20 counters and, whatever. Like, I'm just making up stuff now, right? Because there is a difference between rules that govern play style, keep you from doing things, and then understanding why rules are there and understanding the gameplay of a league to the point where you are now calling plays to fit that style. And the style here is going to be chess match. It's going to be fair play, even playing field. Don't use plays that abuse. Let your stick steals matter, but let your play calling matter more. That's what we're going for. And I worry that RPOs are going to throw a kink in that. But what are your thoughts about RPOs?
Yeah, the limited time. I mean, I didn't use them a whole lot, and I actually probably got killed more than I've actually been successful with the RPO at this point. But I was basically using the Chiefs playbook, and that's another thing. Some of the playbooks are really uh, very un-FPR because it's all like 18 shotgun formations and only like 6 I formations and uh, but you know the RPO, the run pass option, uh, I do like it because it does bring a new dynamic to the game that we haven't had in a long time, with new type of plays to run. And I think me personally, I think we need to maybe look at it kind of like the way we have addressed screenplays, to where you want to use it kind of sparingly, kind of like the screenplay. If you're using
Yeah, that's a good
uh,
point. That's a good point.
like 5 or 6 screenplays for the full game, that's kind of the way you would want to look at an RPO, because I think if you mix it in like that, it's okay. But if you make that the focal point of your offense, I don't think that's okay, because you're really pushing the envelope there. And there's not a whole lot to it, because, like Nate said, there's just basically, slant in, or screen bubble play route, or hand the ball off, or I think there's one that has an end around, where you can hand the ball off to an end around. So, but those type of plays, they're great to have, and I'm loving that we have them in the game. But to make it your full focal point of your offense, no, that's not FBR, and that's not what we're about. But again, that was just my opinion that came to mind, was kind of view it as a screenplay, and maybe we attack it and address it that way, as like a screenplay.
Yep, I agree with you completely. And that's a really good way to look at it. And maybe there will be. Maybe it'll be a limit to, we're not going to allow full, RPO playbooks. And so maybe it is. It's like a, 6-play limit that you can have in your playbook or something. It doesn't mean you get to call all 6 all game. It just limit the amount that you have them. And then, like Maniac wonderfully said, limit how often you use them. Typical Rob says, also, what is different with hot routes? That's a good question. I haven't messed with hot routes a ton. They seem kind of the same with some adjustments, and please correct me if I'm wrong and tell me your thoughts, because I know that you dealt with them a little bit. Shut up, Hude. With them a little bit. It seems that specific players will get specific hot routes, and then some of them even have these new abilities where it allows them to have more hot routes than normal.
Yeah.
And it depends on the play, and it depends on a lot of things, which is really neat and really awesome. Look, at the end of the day, I guess I don't mess with them a lot because I don't want to see you guys hot routing a ton.
Right.
In my opinion, hot routing should be done 5 to 8 times a game, right? Not often at all. You should run the play that you called. I don't like that play. Great, go find another play. It just should be. What are your thoughts about hot routes?
Yeah, that's a good point, because I know, even sometimes I find myself getting in that same position, because uh, in our league games and stuff, you'll come up to the line of scrimmage, the defense has called a play, you've called a play. Well, the defense starts hot routing, then you start hot routing, because and the next thing you've already basically both limited out on your hot routes and stuff, and then you get to where you're coming up you see some guys come up to the line and it's like every play, they're hot routing to a slant or they're hot routing to a drag, every play, just because, they're, those are the two routes that are really kind of one of the main ones that are open in most of this Madden 19 stuff. So, then again, you get to, uh, a slippery slope there. With Madden 20, though, what I saw and what I've experienced so far is like the certain players that have the X factor, they have certain route abilities that are available to them that not your average Joe has. Uh, and so you'll see guys like Zach Ertz at the tight end position. He has a couple route abilities that other guys like maybe I'm trying to think of an average tight end, Abron from the Colts. He's kind of more of an average type of tight end, and he won't have those type of routes available to him to hot route to. I was in a game last night. I was trying to hot route the tight end to a slant. You, as far as I know right now, I don't think you can hot route a tight end to a slant now. He will be hot routed to a drag. That's the type of things that you'll see that are different. Now, wide receivers, they all have basically your basic uh, audibles where they can run a slant out ends. Your basic passing tree. But guys like Julio Jones, those type of guys, they have some things that they do better than other guys. And some of them do are the only ones that can pull those off. And so in that itself brings a new dynamic that there's different things that you can actually do with certain players. Then that creates a little bit of separation of the really great player and the really average player that is in Madden 20.
Yeah, we're about an hour and 35 minutes deep, which is I was like, oh my god, that's a long show. So let's see if we can't.
I didn't even know.
Nah, me neither until I just looked. Let's see if we can't run through a couple of these others. Outlaw says, I hear franchises still really bear still. I'm not going to give a popular take, but here's my take, and I'd love to hear what you think. I have no interest in selling hot dogs and sodas and jerseys again. Look, that added so many issues to a CFM. It was fun. It was kind of cool. But if you're looking for that offline experience, that really detailed, in-depth experience, then, let that be an offline feature. I don't want it online. The issues it brought in when we used to have like those really detailed franchise owner modes where guys would go into the offseason and have $30 million in cap space, but because they lost every game, they had no money in their bank, and so they actually couldn't make any deals and they couldn't sign any free agents, and it was a hassle, and it just wasn't worth it. I just don't have, I guess I'm getting older, I don't have any interest in selling hot dogs and sodas anymore and setting prices for all that crap and worrying about my freaking TV deals. I just don't want to do all that. Give me stuff that engages owners. That's what I want. And the scenario engine has that potential. Now, look, I've said this a zillion times on the Madden 20 streams, so you can go back and watch those, but there is a potential where that scenario engine is going to get old quick, and it's not going to be that engaging. I don't know. I don't know how many scenarios they've added. I don't know how often it's going to pop up. The little bit I've played, you're talking less than 24 hours that we've had this in our hands. It's been engaging, and it's been cool to have as an addition. I just wonder, is it going to keep us engaged for the whole Madden? If it does, right, then it's a great addition, as we've already spoke about. But outside of that, I don't know what else people want to add. I never really will get behind coaching carousels. I don't know. I thought the one old addition that would be neat to have again is if you could hire coaching staffs that helped you with injuries, but then like how do you police that, right? Because there's only going to be so many top-notch ones, and then how do you police who gets them? Do we really want the Seahawks super team having the best, injury prevention while the rest of us have terrible injury it adds too many things. I know they're quote-unquote realistic, and they are, but if I wanted to be an NFL owner, I would go be a billionaire and go, find my money and buy a team, right? Like, this doesn't need to be a job. It needs to be engaging. It needs to be fun. It needs to be something that's deep. And I just don't know that those other things are actually, they're deep, but I don't know if they're deep in the right ways. So I don't find it bare. There's not a lot of cool new bells and whistles outside of a layout and outside the scenario engine, but I think it's a step in the right direction. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it's bare, and I think there's a fine line of getting deep and engaging, and then getting too deep and just absolute. I don't want to do this because this just takes too much of my time, and why am I doing this? And well, now I've done it, but I've done it wrong, so now it's affecting my team too much, and my team's going to play like poop. So why even do this, or why is it in here? Because now it's unfun and it's unfair and all that stuff that could come about. But I do think that they are taking the right approach. They're not overstuffing it. I think they're trying to small increments here and there. I do think uh, one of the things I would like to see added is something where guys could, basically upload a clip into the CFM, and then, maybe guys could, vote for play of the week or whatever from those clips, or, just something that, is not too overly thought, but, something that guys can look and like, oh, look at that cool
Yep.
play, if you didn't get to watch a stream
No,
or
you're
something,
right.
something like that.
And that's what I mean by engaging. That's engaging, and that's deep in the good way.
Right. It's something everybody can look at and, not just affecting your team, but it actually involves the league. And I think sometimes that can get, missed through all the trash, of, guys, say, well, it's not engaging. So EA starts putting the stuff in here. And the next thing you know, well, it's just like the halftime show and the commentary and the pregame and all that stuff like that. Guys, the community is like, we need this, we want this. And now it's just a button push. Everybody's just like, oh, let's get to it. And, I want to get to the game because everybody wants to play the game, you know, and all those things are cool. I do like really good commentary, uh, but how many of us are guilty of the commentary saying something, or at the
Yeah.
halftime,
The-
you just button through,
yep.
it's because it's a waste of your time. You
And the
feel
in-game commentary on the beta hasn't changed. It seems to be the same, but I also think it's just the beta and that they will
right.
roll out the new stuff for the new game.
Yeah, I don't think all that stuff's in the game yet, and we won't know that until we get our hands on the full uh, copy of Madden 20. But just as a fact of now, just kind of addressing CFM. I mean, yeah, it's lacking, but again, in the past, has heard these cries from the CFM community and other entities in the community for Madden, and, and they did that. They implemented a halftime show. It wasn't as engaging, I guess, as NFL 2K, where they had Chris Berman at ESPN, but that even in itself, uh, and I remember I played that game a few times. Even in that self, when you're when you're in the heat of the battle,
Yeah.
you don't sit there and watch all that.
Nope.
You may watch 5 seconds of it, but you're clicking
It's an
through it.
offline feature.
Yeah, it's an offline feature that guys want, you know, that don't want to take time in an online CFM. They just want to experience Sundays outside of Sunday, and they can experience that through their Madden uh, niche. So anyway, uh, I think EA has done the right approach, adding a little bit here, a little bit there, and not just overly indulging in certain things, and then coming back 2 Maddens later, taking it out because it was a button pushed through.
Yep. Uh, Outlaw says, "Is the game training close? I'm sorry. Is the game? I'm so tired. Is the game training choose a drill, pick 3 guys, and scheme base? It's exactly the same. They may have tweaked some minor things, but it feels and looks exactly the same. Anything to add there?
No, that answers it.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly the same, in my opinion. Typical Rob, thoughts on team rating changes with the larger disparity now? I never pay attention to team ratings, I guess because it's a CFM and guys are going to make trades and guys are going to move players and they're going to sign players. That stuff just... I've never played a game where I've looked at the ratings of the overall team, offense, defense, overall team, and that's actually made a difference, in my opinion.
Right.
I think that if you're talking about player ratings, I think it matters, right? So I played against the Rams and Aaron Donald, and Aaron just kind of in the Rams playbook moves around to a lot of positions as he does in real life on the defensive line. And when he was up against my 70 overall center that the Saints have out of the box, he was abusing that dude. He was in the backfield in 1 second every play, as he should. And then when he was matched up against my 88 overall tackle, or even when he got through and had to face Kamara in the backfield, those guys would slow him down a little bit better. Even when he was in his X Factor zone, he would still get slowed down. But what are your thoughts on the larger rating changes?
I'm kind of a ratings guy. I like seeing the disparity between things. I think there's going to be a big difference with there are some guys that are actually, I didn't see any players on my team that were below 60 that were starting, but there's a lot of 50, 58, 57, 60, 63 guys that are actually kind of key players, and a lot of these guys are some of the rookies. And I don't know if for instance, if it's going to be the same. Uh, I don't think they've actually gotten all the ratings in for
No, I don't think
a
so.
lot of the players, but there is disparity, and it's going to be interesting to see if it stays that way or if it changes. Um, but overall, I do think that there is going to be a significant difference that we are going to notice. Now, like you said, once these Mo events happen, he has said that he's not going to do any trades this next Madden, just for you. So I don't know if he's going to be able to hold his word, but
He's
if he
not.
does, uh, but anyway, once some trades happen and stuff, you'll see the outlook of different teams that are going to change the layout, and that's always something that it's a revolving door in the CFM.
Yep, I agree with you. Guys, remember to track these thoughts because they are on stream. Make sure you go track and post them in our thread just so that I can go through and say that I actually use them and you can get credit for them. Clyde kind of asked a question and then has a thought to go with it. And so I'm going to say his thought and then, I'll do it his order. He says, we need to revisit FPR to adjust the way these playbooks are evolving since the NFL is shifting to a more 3-receiver nickel set? The Madden playbooks will shift to match as well, leaving us with lesser FPR-friendly play options. Honestly, I don't know that FPR is going to have to change. I'm always... A couple things. I'm always willing to look at FPR. When the new game comes out and we have that break, I always go through every FPR rule and say what matches, what doesn't match, what fits, what doesn't fit anymore, what needs to be adjusted or tweaked. And I really think guys are going to want to hear this, but I really think we're moving to be a league that's going to be custom playbooks because we are going to we're going to limit some of these playbooks, and some of them we're even going to ban, like the Cardinals playbook. That's going to be a banned playbook for sure. There'll be other playbooks. I know like run and shoot's already banned. But there'll be other playbooks that will be banned. And I think we're really going to move to a custom playbook. And because we're going to be a custom playbook, and I know that guys aren't going to want to hear that. They're not going to want to put in the work. And that's going to be fine. If you don't want to put in the work, then you're going to be limited on what you can use. And you're going to be behind the 8 ball. You're going to be at a disadvantage playing against guys with a custom playbook. And you're going to be held to the same FPR. I just don't stand by that. Well, I used Arizona's playbook, and it only has 20 plays, and so yeah, I called the same 20 plays over and over. Now it's just it's not going to fly. Custom playbooks are an option, and if that's what you need to do to be able to mix up your gameplay, then that's what you're going to be expected to do. I will say there is a what's the word I'm looking for? My brain's so dead. I can't believe we did a 2-hour show when we're dead tired. There is a mind shift that is happening in the NFL to more of an air raid, spread them out type style. This is why we're not a sim league. We don't simulate what we see on Sundays because that doesn't translate to a video game. I will stand by that. At least in the way I view a league, right? And it doesn't mean my view's right. It's just my view. Other leagues may want to be a competition league, and other leagues may want no rules, and they may want, whatever as they say, get better at the sticks and all this other stuff. Whatever. You do you. That's not what the OMFL is going to be all about. Instead, the OMFL is going to be about fair play. So that's why we have FPR, fair play rules, and so yes, the NFL is transitioning. I don't see the OMFL transitioning unless the game keeps up and unless the game really fixes. Like shotgun runs, still overpowered, still way too easy. I ran a few of them. It's an easy 5 to 10 yards minimum every single time. And it's just because it doesn't translate. AI doesn't react the way that you would think it should react. But what do you think about Cly's thought on FPR should change because the playbooks are changing?
Yeah, I mean it's it's kind of it's one of those things where everybody has an opinion. I have my opinions also as well.
Everyone has buttholes too. That doesn't mean we should talk about them.
But some things that do worry me about custom playbooks, and I've had this discussion with Dwayne a few times, is the fact that you have guys where they see one or two or three plays that work for one team, and then they go and they put that playbook in or play in their playbook, and then the next thing you know, they play somebody else and they have 2 or 3 plays, and like now, I'll be straight up honest. Now, whenever you play somebody, you're playing the same plays out of almost identical playbooks every week. Here's here's a great example: the 3 wide receiver slant. They're all 3 slants. Last 2 seasons ago, I didn't hardly see that play at all. All of a sudden, what game was it I was watching? There was one game. It was run like 3 or 4 times, and each time it just slaughtered and got first downs. Well, the next thing you know, I've seen the last 4 games I've played. I've seen that play probably 15 times in the last 4 games, and it's always everybody waits until they get across the field and they hit it on the side, and then that's just one thing that's always kind of concerned me about custom playbooks, because guys will just go and basically cherry pick all these plays from everybody, and to me that creates the issue of not having different styles and stuff in the game, and everybody's just kind of copycat and cookie cutter, and to me that does tend to get on my nerves sometimes. I like to see different things. Sometimes I like to run different things. I have 500 plays in my playbook, and I have probably 10 formations and so I have tons of formations and stuff. And anyway, it just sometimes I think that tends to get abused with custom playbooks. But again, like when you see the Chiefs are going to have the same problem with their playbook. Uh, I think this playbook only has like three strong formation, three I formations, and I think one pistol, and the rest are shotgun. And so
Yep.
that's just
Arizona's
that's
got
something
even
that.
less than that.
Oh wow, so again, we're gonna have to adjust, but also I would like to see, and maybe with these type of plays and not everything, just only certain things working. In Madden 20, maybe we'll see a little bit more variety than what we do now, and hopefully that's the case because seeing the same plays from and that's one thing I would say about you, Nate. You have one of the most unique playbooks from anybody that I've played in the league and stuff because you have a lot of different plays uh, that you choose from, and so maybe my rant and my soapbox is over. So
Well, we got 2 more questions, and we got about 7 more minutes. I am not doing a 2.5-hour show, so let's see if we can
let's
get through them.
go.
Soden says, what are your thoughts on team draft for Madden 20? I hated it at first, and the more I thought about it, I was like, it would add a lot of excitement. It would. I just know what Maniac's top 20 coaches did, and I'm excited for that to come back this year. And then, that got a lot of eyeballs on us last Madden offseason as we waited for Madden 19 to drop. So I know a team draft would do that engagement, but I think I've fallen in the middle smash. I think that it's, okay, who wants to be in this? Throw your name in the hat. I think right now there's only 3 teams, but I think that'll pick up as the season. I'll remind people, and as the season picks up here, I think that's going to be the way to go. If you have your team and you want to stay. But if you're willing to mix it up and cause some excitement, throw your name in the hat, and we'll do a team draft show. We'll make a big deal out of it, and we'll get some eyeballs on it, and it'll be a whole lot of fun. So I think it's a good idea. What are your thoughts about team draft?
Yeah, I like it, but I also hate it because I finally got a good quarterback, and I don't want to give up my quarterback. So I do like the idea though of kind of going splitting down the middle, meet down the middle. The guys that don't want to give up their team, you can keep them, but the guys that are that's been kind of with this Madden, a lower rated team, they just kind of want a fresh start. And if you get 10, 12 guys that and go into the draft, I think that's perfect for us. Now, I've been a part of other leagues that have had a full on team draft each and every Madden cycle and stuff, and that in itself also can add a new dynamic to the league and excitement. So there is definitely pluses, and there's also negatives about it. Especially when that negative is my cheeks could be taken away from me. But it is what it is. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll do a team draft by winning percentage. So we'll take your winning percentage for the entire Madden. Lower percentage gets most amount of opportunities to get that number 1 pick. And then we'll do like just a real life draft. I don't know, I'll figure exactly how to do it. There's probably a program online, or I'll just do the old-fashioned names in the hat and draw them out, and we'll have some fun with it. So last question. We put this one off from Cincy Berg, and I want to do it. So he says, is there anything going on for OMFL guys during our waiting period until next Madden? I actually think there's a ton. So there's our normal off-season awards, Pro Bowl, all that fun stuff. You're going to have an addition of 3 things. You're going to have imports that we're going to have to make a video of and post. We're going to have Madden Hall of Fame for players, so your Madden players. So you'll have those submissions actually probably go up here towards the end, probably week 15. Those submissions will go up, and there'll be voting, and there'll be a release, like a OMFL Hall of Fame release show. I can't even say that word. What's wrong with me? God, I'm so tired. And then there's also a player Hall of Fame, and so any potential players, and that's usually done by me. I usually pick that, but any potential players humans that we think should be in the Hall of Fame. There's a pretty long list right now, but I usually induct any humans that I think should be in the Hall of Fame and even Hude, who we hear on the podcast from time to time in the background of Maniac's home. He's in the Hall of Fame. So we'll do all of that. Plus, Madden Coach's Top 20 list, which Maniac will do. Tell us a little bit about that if guys don't know what that is.
Well, basically, what I did was I created a Google Doc listing 1 through 20. All coaches are available for the guys, and it's just like the NFL Top 100. I watched that through NFL.com, NFL Network, and saw how it was kind of engaging, and it also engaged the league players because it was the top 100 voted by their peers. And so I was like, that'd be kind of cool to do in the CFM. But I was trying to do it with players, and then I had the idea. No, we got 32 guys. The players are the guys controlling the sticks. So why not do something like that? And I came up with the top 20 coaches of the OMFL. And so basically, with this Google Doc will be submitted out to all the owners. They'll rate their coaches from 1 to 20, and then I will take hopefully all 32 coaches vote. But I will take all the votes that are sent in. I will take and look at who all voted for number one. Usually the number 1 through 5 is pretty much, unanimous. Guys will, kind of have the same play set, but there is some that changes. And basically, if there's a tie at 1, then I take the average and add that to, say, for instance, there was a tie at number 2. Then at number 3, that number 2 got 3 more votes at number 3, then he automatically gets the number 2 vote because he had more votes in those top 2 spots. So anyway, it all worked out. It was a great thing to do, and I'm also going to bring back my coach rating that I'm going to give for each coach. I think that was kind of a cool thing that
awesome.
I to do, and so I'm going to be rating you guys on your offensive play, and just different things that I've come up with that I consider as I put those in. So it's really fun.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. And as you can see here in the chat, there'll be a Madden release stream that we'll do, and possibly a tournament, maybe something we could do with Soden Bowl Network and do a tournament together or something. I don't know. I don't do a ton of tournaments just because you just never get on the same page about rules and what rules, and I haven't seen them go too well. I know why people do them. I get it. It puts a lot of eyes on the product. Gets a lot of people engaged. I understand it completely. I'm not against them. Totally for them. I just personally don't do them because it's like it can be more hassle than it's worth. But I trust Soden, and I know that Soden and them do these a lot, and I know that a lot of you may be interested in it. So we'll definitely figure it out and host something. And then there'll be the test sliders in the test league that'll be up. And we'll need to test XP, and we'll need to test sliders, and we'll kind of need to test a little bit of everything. I don't think we're having to restart from scratch. I think we definitely, like a lot of 19 will translate. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And so we definitely have a good base to start with, and we definitely have a good base to start with because of the beta. So we're in a good plot, and we are finally 2 hours and 56 seconds deep into this show at the end of our show. So let's put a bow on it and give me your closing thoughts, Mr. Maniac.
Yeah, really great interview with Xpert to start the show, and then a lot of talk on buying and selling and stuff. There's a lot of teams vying for those playoff spots, so we're halfway through the season. We got the Madden 20 beta. Definitely going to be dropping in and playing some of that today. Hopefully we can actually play a full game this time, Nate, today sometime. And then it's great times, and I'm looking forward to getting Madden 20 started. Really, to be honest, and I think maybe like you just said at the end of the show, a lot of things will translate over. We took so much time trying to get the games set the last two Maddens, it was almost 30 days after the game released before we even started the league. So, maybe we'll actually get started a little bit sooner this time. Hopefully, and not have to go through so many hoops to get things ready before we start up and go. But I'm really looking forward to what all Madden 20 has to offer in the final product.
No, I completely agree with you. I was trying to find. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, I'm excited about Madden 20. I think like any Madden game, a couple months deep, some of you will be super salty and hate it and never want to play again, and you'll just complain for 8 months, and just kind of is what it is, which is why we have the new sportsman vote that's up, because if you complain, hopefully you get a low rating, and you'll stop complaining, which has seemed to work a little bit, and
Yeah.
overall, I'm excited. I do want to get some more games in. I want to nap first, though. I am going to go take a little bit of a nap. But it's Father's Day weekend, and so my wife has just let me milk the hell out of playing video games. So I'm going to go ahead and milk it as much as I can. But let's go ahead and talk about all of our great partners that help us do what we do. I appreciate everybody for being on the stream today and for being a part of what we do. Here's where you can find us, grownfolksoc.com. Tons of great help from some owners who are helping us get our SEO going and really get our attention and eyes on our product and eyes on what we do. I think that we are a really great community. I'm never going to say we're the best. I think that there is no such thing as the best. There are just better fits for certain people than others. I love what we do. I love what we've created. I love the people here, and I think that people should know about what we do because it may be an option for them. GrownFolksOC.com. You can find us on Twitter, GrownFolksOC. Find us on Twitch, GrownFolksOC. Find us on YouTube, Grown Folks Online Community. Where else can you find us? I think that's it. I think it's website, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. Yep. And then let's talk about some of our great partners. OvertimeHeroics.com. They are coming out with a new website. They're coming out with an app, which is super, super cool because they're going to have all kinds of new stuff coming out. But go sign up for their forums. It's a sports talk place, so you can get podcasts for sports talk. We've got new NBA champions in the Raptors. Congratulations to any Raptors fans. And just like lots of really good stuff over there. So go support them. They're big supporters of us. If you're into WWE, we've got a couple of different great partners for WWE. The OCW, Austin DTA, True One Sports. Lots of sim stuff, some competitive gameplay, and there's just really cool videos that Austin puts out. So make sure that you go and you support them. And then we couldn't do anything of what we do without these two guys. DaddyLeaks.com. Please go support our The Talk podcast for Daddy Leaks. It's something that Pootie T and I do. We'll have a new one come out probably next week now that we've got some Madden 20 beta gameplay underneath our belts. But please support that. Give us some likes, some comments. Tell us what you don't like about the show, what you do like about the show. We want to do more stuff that's engaging and that people enjoy. And then, of course, LeeCrawler.com. Matt is such a great dude and big supporter of him. He's been a big supporter of us. I really appreciate him. We got to get him and Daddy League some Grown Folks or some OMFL shirts. I'm going to have to make that happen. Mr. Pootie T just got him an NBC shirt, so you should see that on Twitter here pretty soon. But go support LeagueCrawler.com. It's a great place. If you're an owner, you should sign up, give ratings for leagues that you've been in, give ratings for other owners that you've ran into. And if you're a league, you should do the same. You should keep your bad owners list there. You should give ratings. It's a great place to advertise. We do it each and every advance, which actually just happened a few seconds ago. And then, of course, our good friends who are actually on the stream. He's always so kind to us to hop on the stream and leave some comments and be in chat. SodenBowl.com. Go check out what they do. Amazing content. They have started the Soden Bowl Network, which is an opportunity for leagues to go and get their content with more views and more eyes on them, and you can request graphics and you can learn from people and learn what software you need, what hardware you need. It's just a really great opportunity if you're a new league or if you're a league who's just trying to get their media going, get eyes on their content. It's a great place for you to go and be a part of. They have a very active Discord chat for the network, and they have a really great website. So go support them, support their content, follow them on YouTube, follow them on Twitter, and support our good partners. Then a brand new partner that has actually just happened over the last couple of days here. eKings Pro, a super, super cool logo. They have been nothing but great to us. They help give away some Madden codes. They're small following, but they are going to be starting a competitive gameplay league where they're hosting tournaments and different things like that. And so it's a great place to go and be a part of what they're doing. So please go support them.
Nice.
Give them a follow. And help support the work that they're doing as they're supporting us and going to help retweet and repost all the stuff that we're posting out there. So, man, it's been a good show, and it's been a lot of fun. We've talked about a lot. I don't think there's anything that we haven't talked about. And so, thankfully, we can wrap this puppy up 2 hours and 7 minutes deep into this show. Man, thanks for doing this. Let's go play some Madden 20 after we get a little bit more sleep. But we'll get some sleep, then we'll play some Madden 20. Happy Father's Day to all you dads out there, especially all you dads in the grown folks community and the OMFL in particular. I mean, you guys have hung in there, and it's no light thing to me that people give of their most precious gift, their time, and they give it here as a hobby. And a lot of you even give your second most precious gift, your money. A lot of you people give your money to this community to help us with everything that we do. And it's about time here in the next probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks that we do another drive where it's time to pay for the website again, and it's time to pay for all this stuff again. And if we get even half of what we got last year, we will get plenty that we need. You guys have just been awesome, and I really appreciate everything that everybody gives here. So I hope that you guys have a great Father's Day. Maniac, have an awesome Father's Day. Mr. D. Wayne,
Father's Day to you too, man.
you're not a dad yet, but you're a dad to a bunch of cats, and your fiance-to-be does put up with you. So happy Father's Day to you as well. I hope everyone has a great Sunday. Enjoy your time. Thank you for watching the podcast. We'll see you next week at the next Press Pass Live, and we'll probably even engage you in some more Madden 20 beta streams that I'll put up late tonight. And so we'll do that again. It'll be a ton of fun. So until then, have a great week. Thanks for watching the show. We'll see you next time. God bless you. Peace.
Later.